Hi, everyone, and thank you for coming today to my webinar. I decided to make this monthly meet up with you guys where we can talk and share about panic attacks. So my thing for today is to give you enough tools so you can conquer a panic attack and stop it in its tracks, because I think it's possible. I've done it multiple times, and I'm happy that it's been quite a while since I had my last panic attack. And with that being said, I will introduce myself. My name is Oksana. I am a panic attack survivor. I'm also a hypnotherapist and a health coach. I'm also a psychosomatic coach. So I believe that there is a connection between some of our physical symptoms and our minds. And I'm also not a medical doctor, and everything I will be sharing here, I'd like you to take it as informative, as information only. It's not meant to diagnose or treat, but it is some of the things that helped me, and I'd like you to be able to use them if you'd like. All right, so let's start with today's curriculum. So today we'll be talking about panic attack triggers, how to identify 4 types of stress responses, the do's and don'ts of dealing with panic attacks in the moment, and tools to regulate your nervous system. And then at the end, I will take questions from you guys. All right, so triggers. How do they get created? So as an example, imagine that there's a person, a little child who is 2 or 3 years old, and the little child is running around somewhere playing, right? And then there's a big dog, and the big dog runs towards the little child, trying to give love and kisses, but then the little child, never seen a dog that big before, gets terrified and becomes really scared. So now everything that the unconscious mind recorded about that situation is going to be recorded as a trigger for danger, for a situation that is dangerous. So this situation is considered dangerous for the little child. And then the unconscious mind will record everything it can record in order to make sure that this person will, in the future, not get in situations like this, right? Or for example, let's say another little child, or the same one, is eating oranges while their parents are arguing. In that situation, depending on the little child's perception, if the argument is scary for the child, then the child's subconscious mind might record it as a dangerous situation, and it might create some kind of reaction towards the oranges, which some of us might know as allergies. Also, another situation could be a car accident, right? So in a car accident, whoever's been in a horrible car accident knows for sure that it's very hard to drive after that accident, right? Some people won't even get in a car because their unconscious mind was so triggered, got so scared that it won't allow them to get even closer to a car. So there are 5 types of senses, which means that information from all of these situations goes in through our 5 types of senses, which are smell, sound, sight, taste, and touch. So imagine this first situation with the dog and the little kid. Now, the dog smell, if there is any, will be recorded in the unconscious mind as a trigger. The size and the look of an animal, maybe the temperature outside, maybe the noise or the sound the dog makes, like barking. All of these will be recorded by the unconscious mind as a trigger. They're actually recorded as a way to keep that person from getting in the same type of scary situations in the future, but we call them triggers because any of these things would probably make a person feel the same kind of fear they felt the first time this happened. So imagine this person grows up, they are in their 40s and they still have fear of dogs. And every time they would smell a dog or even see a dog or hear a dog, they would probably have this reaction. This bodily reaction would be turned on in their body. Same with the oranges and same with the car accidents. So the triggers come in or are recorded for our safety, right? So everything that smell, sound, sight, taste, and touch will be recorded by your unconscious mind in order to prevent you from getting in the same situation in the future. All right, and there are 4 types of stress. I'm sure you've heard of them. There's a lot of information on this topic lately. And there are fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So the fawn, the last one, it's also called fornicate in some resources. But all 4 of these could be actually a type of stress response that a person has, even all 4 of them. So let's discuss each one individually. So fight. If a person has a normal fight response, right? So a normal fight response would be when somebody reacts with a fight response, but later on they're able to go back into their normal state. So if a person has a fight response that's normal, then they would, for example, they would protect themselves, they will be able to lead others, they would find the courage to make things happen, and they would set healthy boundaries with others. But if they're not in a healthy fight response, meaning that fight response is a little prolonged for more than a normal fight response, then this person's behavior would be something like in the example on the right side. They would overcompensate, they would be over aggressive, some bully behavior, perfectionists. I see a lot of perfectionists with this type of stress response. Even sometimes they would think that everybody should help and support them. Okay. With the flight response, if somebody is in a normal flight response and they're able to go back to their normal state, then their behavior would be something like on the left side, taking a break from overly upset people. They will be able to, the ability to disengage from difficult conversations, and the ability to remove themselves from relationships that are not healthy. And if the flight response is abnormal, or this person is constantly in a flight response, then they would be trying to escape and avoid. They would escape responsibilities, they would seek solace in alcohol, and they would sometimes turn to drugs. Now, the freeze response is something that I spend a lot of time in. And if somebody is in a normal freeze response, then they would actually be able to remain in the present moment, slow down and contemplate, and mindful. And if they're not able to have a normal freeze response, then they would tend to dissociate, detach, reject any stimuli. And also might be with other people, but not listening to them. And we don't engage emotionally with others and isolate themselves. So in real life, from my own example, this would look like a lot of binging, Netflix, At some point, I finished Netflix and Amazon Prime. I also finished HBO Max. So there was a lot of freeze response in my life. That was probably my favorite type of stress response to go into. Not my favorite, but a type of stress response that my body would favor. Okay, and fawn, normal state, it would look like when we care about people, we support and validate and listen to them, and we're compassionate. And in a not normal would look like we're putting aside all of our needs and focus on only on other people's needs, staying in relationships that are abusive, the need to fix others, and no boundaries. This will be also the people pleasers type of response. All right, so now the question is there a relationship between traumatic experiences and panic attacks? Let's see. Biologically, panic attacks are associated with the autonomic nervous system and the amygdala, places designed to detect threat and danger. Detect threat and danger. So if we go back to all the way to here, to the triggers, how the triggers are created, this is a way of amygdala to create threat and danger clues. So we go through a situation like this, right? Which could be traumatic. All of these are very traumatic, right? And there are many other situations that are traumatic. And for some people, their own threshold for handling stress could be much less than others. So for someone, a situation that doesn't look that traumatic from the side could be extremely traumatic for that particular person. But now the amygdala is doing its job to create these clues that we call triggers, because in the end, they're triggering a response, right? I don't consider them to be a bad thing. I consider them to be a way of your brain, of your unconscious mind, to protect you from getting in the same situation again. But sometimes, because we're so overwhelmed by all the triggers, we start to hate them. I think we should befriend them. But let's keep talking, right? Okay, so the amygdala and the autonomic nervous system are places designed to detect threat and danger. And once we go into one of these stress response for a prolonged time, then it becomes chronic. So we are constantly in that state, right? And how is this related to panic attacks in general? If we look a little further, once the nervous system is overwhelmed, then any of these stressors that are less, that we think of them as less stressor, they can actually become much more for us to handle. We become unable to handle normal daily stressors. So for example, even preparing dinner for the family, now it feels like it's way too much. It feels like it's a burden. It feels like I can't do this anymore. So in a situation like that, the nervous system will try to stop you from doing that because it's taking way too much energy from you, and that will feel like a panic attack. Do's and don'ts. So in the don'ts, what are the things that we shouldn't do while in a panic attack, right? And I think this is going to sound a little bit funny, but don't panic because the panic attacks usually don't last too long. But even if they last a little bit longer, then I know the feeling. The feeling is devastating. You feel like this is the end, like something's not normal. something's going on and I don't know what, and why am I feeling this way? Like you're almost losing it. You're losing it. You don't feel connected. You maybe disconnect and dissociate, but don't panic. There's hope, and there are things you can do to stop a panic. And we can go deeper into this. But every one of you will get a guide that I put together. It's called Guide Your Body Away from Panic Attacks. And in this guide, I explain 7 steps that you can follow to even stop a panic attack. So let's go through the do's. So you can look over these later when you receive it through the email. And you can even use this one to put it on your phone screen. So then when you have a panic attack, you can open it up and follow it. So let's start with the forehead. So the first step will be to concentrate on the forehead. And the forehead means really the mind and the memories or the negative thoughts that you might have been thinking about that was the trigger for a panic attack. Also the eyes. So if we go down, it kind of goes down like this throughout your entire body. So if you go to the eyes, then the eyes will be, did you see something that triggered a panic attack? Right? Did you see something that reminded you of a trauma that you had before? Or did you see something that maybe someone that reminds you of a traumatic event? Also the ears means sounds. Are there any sounds, or maybe a loud explosion, or maybe the ambulance is reminding you of a traumatic event? The mouth and nose. So the nose would be, are you breathing properly? Are you breathing right? Is there any smell that you're smelling that's, again, is a trigger for you because of a situation in the past when your unconscious mind recorded this smell as a trigger? The mouth would be, did you eat something that's spicy? Or in general, what did you eat? Maybe it's something that you are not tolerating. So the heart, I usually like to put my hand on the heart to just feel the heartbeats. And if they are elevated, sometimes I am not aware that my heart is beating fast. Like, for example, if I would have coffee, then I would have elevated heartbeats, and that would make me feel anxious. And then it takes me a while to realize that it's from the coffee. And then that awareness actually can stop a panic attack, because you're aware now. Now you have the answer to the question, what is going on and why. The stomach, so that would be the coffee, for example. And then the skin. The skin is an important one because it's related to temperature. And sometimes we don't feel cold until we're actually anxious because we're cold, right? So I don't remember the source, but it says that our body feels and knows about a process in our bodies before our conscious mind knows, about 6 minutes before. So for example, if you need the restroom, your body will know it 6 minutes before you will be conscious about it. So I've had situations where working with my clients that they started having a panic attack and they felt it crawling, and they followed this 7-step body scan. And what they realized is that they actually needed to use the restroom. So immediately after that, the panic subsided. Okay. All right, so this is it. Thank you very much for staying till the end. And I will start with Q&A.